Good evening, visitors, and welcome to the Australian War Memorial's Last Post ceremony. My name is Gerard Pratt, and joining us today from the Royal Australian Navy is Acting Sub-Lieutenant Penny Colpin. We welcome the veterans who have served, those that are still serving, and the families that love and support them. We acknowledge the members of RSL and Services Clubs Association, RSL Victoria and RSL Queensland, who are watching the broadcast of this ceremony from across Australia. During this evening's ceremony, wreaths will be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection by visitors to the memorial and students on behalf of Brookside P9 College, Caroline Springs, Victoria. If able, please stand and join in singing the National Anthem. If you're able, please be seated. The Australian War Memorial was the vision of Charles Bean, Australia's First World War official historian. Bean landed with the Australian troops on Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through until the end of the war. The idea of this national memorial and museum came to him at Pozières, France, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was that this would become a place where families and friends could mourn loved ones buried in faraway places. It would also be a place that could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they had done for us. Bean's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed in the entrance to the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit, in the heart of the land they loved, and here we guard the record which they themselves made. Tonight, we will read the story behind just one of those on the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of more than 102,000 men and women who have given their lives for us in war and on operations for more than a century. But first, we present a lament, Flowers of the Forest. Wreaths or floral tributes will now be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection.
Today, we remember and pay tribute to Private Kevin Downs. Born Richard Kevin Downs in 1896, Kevin Downs was the only son of Micah and Maud Downs of Geraldton, Western Australia. His father was a successful businessman who was in his early 60s when Kevin was born. Not long after his mother died in 1913, at the age of 54, domestic, financial and health problems overtook his father, who was sent to the old man's home in Claremont. Nearly blind and suffering from age-related eccentricity, Micah Downs drowned in the Swan River near the home in 1915, aged 80. Kevin Downs, the youngest of 4 children, was described as being of medium height, fair, with a slight lisp, and a general favourite of all classes in Geraldton. It was reported that, for a young lad, he had remarkable talents as a descriptive writer, who was likely to make a name for himself in the journalistic world. However, after completing his education, he went to work for Spencer's Cinema Pictures as an assistant effects man and biographer operator. War broke out in August 1914, shortly before Kevin's 18th birthday. He apparently tried to enlist in the Australian Imperial Force, AIF, a number of times, but was not accepted until June 1915. Before he left, his workmates at Spencer's Pictures presented him with the gift of a neat little wristlet watch and sent him away with the good wishes of every one of his fellow employees. Another gift Kevin took to war with him was a fountain pen from one of his sisters. Kevin Downs underwent a period of training in Australia before leaving for active service overseas with reinforcements to the 12th Battalion in October 1915. He spent several weeks in Egypt, where the AIF was undergoing a period of expansion and training, and from there was sent to France in March 1916. On the 23rd of July 1916, the 12th Battalion took part in its first major action on the Western Front, when it helped to capture the French village of Pozières. Downs wrote to one of his sisters, "We lost a lot there, but we got there and stayed there," which was the worst part during counterattacks. After 2 days of holding the line, Private Downs was wounded. He wrote to his other sister, "I got hit during a counterattack. It commenced with a terrific bombardment of our new trenches, which were very shallow and knocked about by shells, and so did not give much protection from shell fire. For about an hour it went on. The noise was terrific. I was getting tired of saying my last prayers. I think the burial service would be more appropriate on account of the dirt that was falling on us, until a big shell dropped right on top of us and buried the man at my side. I think he was killed, yet I escaped so lightly." Downs was taken to hospital in England, wounded in the leg and hand. He wrote, "You might be picturing me with 2 legs off and an arm perhaps, or something equally unpleasant. As it is, I was only hit by a little piece of shell in the left hand and foot. But," he added, "I am sorry to say your fountain pen got smashed up. It never failed me once, besides doing duty for half the platoon." Luckily, Spencer's wristlet watch is still going strong and has outlasted everyone else's. Months later, Downs regretted the loss of that pen, writing to his sister in 1917 that, "I am afraid you will have as much trouble to read this as I had in writing it, but I am lost without that fountain pen." Private Kevin Downs was fit to return to his battalion by the new year and sailed for France in mid-January 1917. He wrote to his sister, "They think here it is going to end in a month or so, but we have no such hopes. It looks more like another couple of years to me. I hope I am wrong. I can't expect to be so lucky next time." He received a couple of letters from his sister before he returned, replying, "I will certainly go back to France in more confident frame of mind now I know so many are interested in my welfare. Private Downs remained with his battalion for the remainder of the year. Just after Christmas, he wrote to his sister to tell her, "I have been in every action this year, including Lanyakor, Bullacor, Polygon Wood, Zonnebaker, Passchendaele, and a good few others." In March and April 1918, the 12th Battalion helped to stop the German Spring Offensive in a series of desperate operations on the Somme. On the 1st of May 1918, the 12th Battalion was billeted in a camp at Boar North Siding, within range of the German guns. The war diary of the battalion notes that, at about 9:30 p.m, a 4.2 centimetre shell burst on the ridgepole of a hut and killed 10 men and wounded 14, 4 of whom died of wounds. This was the only shell that landed in the hutted portion of the siding whilst we were there. Private Kevin Downs was one of the men killed in that blast. Today, his remains lie in La Pouplière Military Cemetery in Castres, France. He was 22 years old. His name is listed on the Roll of Honour on my right, among almost 62,000 Australians who died while serving in the First World War. A photograph of his headstone is displayed today beside the pool of reflection. This is but one of the many stories of service and sacrifice told here at the Australian War Memorial. We now remember Private Kevin Downs, who gave his life for us, for our freedoms, and in the hope of a better world.
If able, please stand for the reading of the Ode and the sounding of the last post.
They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them.
We will remember them.
Lest we forget.
Lest we forget. We leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many a man lying out there at Poziere, or in the low scrub at Gallipoli, with his poor, tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain, has thought in his last moments, well, it's over. But in Australia, they will be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, that concludes the last post ceremony. On behalf of the Director and staff, thank you for visiting the Australian War Memorial today and for your continued support of the Memorials Development Project. We wish you all a very good evening. Thank you.